Studying is a common practice for any student who wants to understand material better, get great grades, and prepare for the college admissions process overall. And maybe at some point in time in your educational career, you have used the method of rereading your notes in order to prepare for an exam. Or maybe you're following one of those study trends on Instagram where you're rewriting your notes so that they look more like a work of art, so that when you're rereading them, it becomes a more enjoyable process. Well, today I'm unfortunately here to burst your bubble, because rereading your notes is the worst thing you could do to prepare for a test. Hey, it's Adria here, and welcome back to The Purpose of Prep, your one-stop shop for everything study skills, college admissions, and SAT prep. And as I said earlier, the number one tip that is destroying your grades is using rereading as a method to study for tests and exams. And the overall issue is that students think that reading is a form of studying, and this is not the case. Studying requires active learning, and in order to do that, you need to practice active study methods. For example, UNC's Learning Center put out an article that states that rereading notes does not require you to actively engage in the material, and that real learning requires active learning methods. The overall debate of active study methods versus passive study methods is a very common topic, but it is very important if you want to get great grades. Active study methods require you to memorize, recall, and use the information that you're learning. But passive study methods don't require you to use any of these three things. As a matter of fact, using passive study methods like rereading your notes, you could spend hours studying, thinking you're gaining something from it, and at the end remember nothing you've read. And this is because you're not actively using this information. So I'm telling you right now, passive study methods don't work. And as someone who's been studying for many years, I recommend that you start using active study methods. And one of the best ones that I recommend is doing practice problems. Now, whether you do practice problems in a test format, or maybe you redo a previous homework assignment or quiz, this is one of the best ways you could test if you're actually memorizing, understanding, and recalling the information you need to answer questions. Because let's face it, the education system is built around testing. And in order to do well on these tests, you need to be able to recall this information that is on your notes. Now, I am not saying that you shouldn't be taking notes or looking at your notes at all. This just shouldn't be your primary method in order to achieve on a test or exam. You're definitely going to want to take notes in class, because you can't expect yourself to remember everything that your teacher taught you that day. Taking notes is a great way to get all that information you learned from class at home so that you can use it to build good study methods. So I recommend taking those notes and turning them into a mock exam. Using a mock exam is a great active study method that requires you to test yourself on the material that you're supposed to know for this test. For example, if you're gonna have a math test on factoring quadratic equations, what do you think is going to be better? Rereading your notes that has all the steps on how to factor quadratic equations, or doing actual problems and factoring the quadratic equations themselves? I'm gonna say the latter. So make sure that you're not using your notes as a crutch in order to study, and use them as a tool so that you can eventually begin testing yourself and testing your ability to use the information in your notes in order to achieve great grades and overall correct questions. Comment down below the word study smart if you agree with what I've said in this video, and make sure to check out my other video, how to take smart notes, so that when you are taking notes in class, you're taking the best notes you possibly can. And I'll catch you in the next one.